Welcome to Horror Movies with TNA. Each episode, we're going to pick a film, talk about it, and rate it. Word of warning, there will be spoilers. This week, we're talking about
Next of Kin, 1982.
Nico. To it to woo.
Where's my drink? I need a drink.
The music on that. Bath blow, I do.
Are we ready to start? Today... Don't say bath bloke again!
Testing the microphone.
Today we're going to talk about Next of Kin, 1982. Bath bloke. Ozploitation. This is actually the third one we've done. We did Fair Game back in episode 2, way back. More recently we did Turkey Shoot, and this is the third Ozploitation film, which is 1982 Next of Kin, aka Hell House. Tagline:
There is something evil in this house.
Or there's no place like home, bloody home, which is a great one.
The video covers.
The hand.
I remember seeing it as a kid in the video shop. When I first searched for this on Google's, came up with the Patrick Swayze film.
Yes, I found that as well, but I thought I just steered clear of that, and I thought we'd just stick with this one. Maybe we'll do Patrick Swayze's film next episode. We're not going to. Starring Jackie Kerrin as Linda Stevens. To be honest, there was not much of note for most of the people on the list. I think Barney John Jarrett is probably best known. He was in Picnic at Hanging Rock, and he was in the Wolf Creek films.
Mick Taylor, I think he was in Wolf Creek.
Yes, Mick Taylor. And then we've got Alex Scott as Dr. Barton. He was in quite a few films. Twins of Evil, Abominable, Dr. Phibes, and The Asphyx, which reminded me of Human Centipede, because we was talking about that earlier in the week.
You want to get your Asphyx.
Yes. Carol, played by Deborah Lawrence. Connie, by Gerda Nicholson. That's about it, really.
Carol's was in it for about a millisecond, really.
Yeah, not for long. Music by Klaus Schultze of Tangerine Dreams.
Yes.
Synth.
The opening music is shit, but bits of it get better. I think the end music's quite good.
I quite liked it.
Very derivative, I thought. It was very the same as what I'd heard before loads of times. Towards the end, he did this like voice thing where when you're talking the voice.
Yeah, I remember when you talk with a voice.
When you're talking the mic and it does it weird voice over with the music and that. So that was a bit different.
Okay. I like it.
What about the director?
Oh yeah, let's talk about
Tony Williams.
Other films? He hadn't done many films that I thought were of any interest whatsoever, I thought.
Rolling through New Zealand with Kenny Rogers in the first edition. So generally he seems to be more a documentary filmmaker.
Okay. Love it. Tony Williams, well done, mate. That's housekeeping. Without further ado, let's get into the story. We're given a slow-mo preview. Of a bruised and battered Linda. Then the film's flashbacks to explain what led up to this point. So it kind of shows her all kind of bruised and battered.
It's like a prologue before the titles that's pretty much the end of the film-ish. All I would say is, and it does it, I think, a couple more times. It does that slow-mo version of where they didn't actually film it with slow-mo cameras. It does that jerky, cheapo-looking thing.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
He likes it slow-mo.
Her mother's voice narrates as if reading from a will that Linda has inherited, following her mother's death, a rural estate called Montclair. It's been in the family for years, a retirement community for the elderly. She says goods, chattels and worldly possessions. What's chattel?
Right, listen. Chattel. Definition. Chattel refers to personal items as opposed to actual land or property.
Then the title scroll across. They took fucking ages.
I know, and it starts off because it's meant to say Next to Kin, and it's scrolling across slowly in red on a black background.
It takes a while, doesn't it?
Yeah, but then it just changes to 2 lines, and it looks like he's run out of scrolliness. You know what it reminded me a bit of? Terminator style, sort of the big title behind. But yeah,
There's no robots in this, is there?
They're all robots. Did you not know? I do. I'm Bath Bloke.
I'll do. Linda arrives back in town. She stops off at Harry's roadside diner to drop off Nico, son of the owner. What accent is the owner got?
I was saying, what accent is that guy got? And he goes, Nico. Well, it's sort of like a very gruff accent that maybe is meant to be Greek, but
yeah,
I'm only getting that because his son's called Nico.
Yeah. I like it. I watched a documentary about this afterwards, and I think he was in some Australian adverts. We get a bit of an insight into the local community as in the diner, a father berates his son. What? Do you want me to knock you through to the middle of next week, he says, which I don't think any parents actually ever said to their child, but I thought I quite like that. Music on the jukebox was House of the Rising Sun by the Quasimodo Suite. Some guy put a record on the jukebox which said that, but the music that was actually played, it was just some generic music. Yeah.
When you first walk in, you've got Space War,
arcade machine. Yeah, I like that.
Which makes an appearance a couple of times later on. And the pinball machine, which has something to do with the thing, because they get money out of it. That's where they hide all the coins, or... That's
well, no, they're
knock it, and then...
Nico, who works, obviously, his dad owns the place, he bangs on it and it opens, like the Fonz, he bangs on it, opens up and he can take money out of it. Linda's returning to town. Obviously her mother's died and she's inherited this big house, so she's coming back to the town. Harry tells her a story how her mum used to come into the diner and sit in the corner and look out the window. That's it. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it seems this bit's only so it can do the end bit.
So that she can return back there at the end. Probably, yes, it just sets that up.
And we won't even get into why Nico's totally by himself in a cafe in the middle of nowhere.
Wearing an army uniform. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Anyway, so Linda drives back to Montclair. It's a nice place. There's a storm brewing. We're introduced to one of the key residents, Lance, who's out watering the plants. And she seems to have a bit of a strong bond with him, although he just waffles to himself throughout. Generally, but we're starting getting introduced to the residents of the home anyway.
Lance is watering his plants in his pants, having a nice dance. Yeah.
Lance in his pants, watering his plants. Lance in a trance, dancing in his pants. Lance.
I have to say, as we're introduced to all the residents of the retirement home, they're great. At this point, music kicks in. Good bit of synth. Anyway, so she starts to read extracts from her mother's diary, which she does throughout the film, and that's how we learn some of the history. She starts to learn a bit about the history of the house and a little bit about her aunt Rita. There's a bit with crystals as well, but it's irrelevant. She dons her mum's striking red velvet coat as well, which comes back in the film as well. It's got lots of old, dark, haunted house tropes here, because we've got cats and rain and dusty creaking, all that kinds of things. She also finds a red ball in the attic, which again is, we're told a story about that later on.
It's a sort of flashback, isn't it?
Yes. And she keeps having a reoccurring dream about her when she was younger with this red ball as well, so it's all kind of building this story. We're then introduced to Connie as well, one of the ladies who's kind of single-handedly run the home since her mother died. One thing I will say throughout, and I'll say this again later on as well, the camera work's really good, I thought, as it follows Linda and Connie down a corridor, and the kind of throughout, I think it's quite nice, steady cam kind of, it looks good,
I think I noticed it more later on.
Well, you remember I watched, this was the second time as well, so I probably focused on that again, because it is more obvious later on, but then I was looking out for it more earlier on there.
Well, this was one of the few films that the ending I did rewind. Rather, I didn't rewind much more. I've got to admit right now that a lot of the reveals I didn't pick up on because I just
No,
Didn't-
but
didn't-
to be honest,
I wasn't paying attention to.
I don't
much,
think, and we'll talk about it. I don't think the reveals later on are that significant. I
No,
don't
no.
actually think the success of the film hinges that much on
No.
that either, anyway, to be honest. So we follow Connie down the corridor. Anyway, so the storm's still brewing, it's raging outside, and there's a new arrival. Mrs. Ryan arrives, wheeled in by her nephew. The home's already full, but they make an exception. I think they need the money, basically.
Yeah, it's all a bit. I mean, to be honest, you already think at this point that something either this is awful acting at this point because they drop her off in the rain, not at the door, and she's in a wheelchair, and then the bloke says, "You'll have to walk," and then she sort of dodders around. And you think, she's not very old.
Yeah, she's wearing the most unconvincing wig I think I've ever
It's
seen
like a
in
grey
any
afro,
film.
isn't it?
Yeah, so the tree falls, is struck by lightning, it falls across the road. So when this new resident arrives, she has to walk the rest of the way because they can't get past this tree. Yeah. And she's wheeled up in a wheelchair, and then she ends up walking in anyway. But anyway, yeah, so this new resident arrives.
Having said that, and again, I could have missed it, that's pretty much the main bit that you see those people.
Yeah, it's kind of significant.
Really,
yeah, it is kind of significant.
Interspersed a bit more if you're going to do a big reveal.
Well, I put the scene where the tree falls after being struck by lightning and the nephew has to carry Mrs. Ryan to the wheelchair is a waste of my time. But it is significant, but it kind of... So, all throughout this, Lance is still waffling. He talks about enemy shells started exploding. He's talking throughout this about his reminiscing, and people are kind of ignoring him anyway, poor old Lance. And one of the residents says, "Is this the new one?" She says, "Is this the new one? If we get any more, we'll have to stick them up the chimney."
The dialogue in this film is a bit surreal at points, some of it.
Another extract from the diary tells how Lance had bought Linda a red ball. So again, we get the ball coming back. Then mentions people wandering around the house at night. She then blow dries her hair.
I'm sorry, this is a bit... Right. Yes, it's sort of slow motion. Is it the jerky slow motion again?
No, I think it's just slow motion.
Yeah, maybe.
Quite...
Yeah, and just reading the diary while blow drying her or already dry hair, so it's wafting around.
Yeah.
Then she's looking out the window, and then it does a bit of a Halloween bit, when Laurie looks out the back when the washing's out.
Mm-hmm. And she sees a
figure.
figure.
And then she looks again, and the fucker's not
Well,
there.
the only thing I thought that was weird was she looks out the window and sees a figure standing watching her in the distance, but she never looks away. The camera does, she never does. So
he probably just wandered off.
Yeah, so she'd just be watching him walk away, which I thought was a bit odd. We look away, but she doesn't. Weird.
No.
Anyway, I quite liked it because he was... her drying her hair actually did remind me a bit of Dario. I quite liked it. I thought it was all right.
Would have been better with the window open and it been wafting around, you know what I mean? Some weird choices. There's bits where you just go, you could have done this differently, or know that great bit of camera work you did fucking later on?
Yeah.
Do the bastard now and I'd be more interested. Or the bit where they're just talking and you go, I don't need to know this.
Lance goes for a bath.
Oh, this is ASAP.
This is brilliant. This is what a great scene. Very steamy, hot bath.
Oh, hang on, I thought he was
very steamy.
Sexual.
Yeah. He drops his robe. It's nothing like old man genitals.
He's got no pants on there.
To get your juices flowing. Lance goes for a bath. As the camera drops below the level of the water, we see one of the residents, Mr. Collins, dead in the bath. Lance puts his foot on his head.
Sort of follows. It's quite good because it
really good.
Follows his foot, and then as it breaks the water into the bath, and then right onto his bonds.
Yes.
Which I know, probably I've said it every freaking bit in Inferno, where she kicks away the dead body. It reminded me of that. 20
minutes in, but that bit was really good.
Yeah, it's the first bit that got me interested.
Mrs. Ryan. Okay. There's a scene where Linda's travelling back into town to meet up with Barney, one of her old flames. There's a bit of a scene where Mrs. Ryan's nephew kind of frightens her in a van. It's a bit weird. He's obviously a bit of a weirdo, we learn straight away, because she kind of scares him on the road. Let's move on from that. She's gone into town to meet up with Barney, an old flame, rekindle their romance. He's a pisshead. And he's a bit of a gonk, isn't he? I think. That's it.
It's peripheral. I mean, you don't realise he's got... Well, he is.
He
in
plays
the
a
end.
bit of a significant bit in the film.
Does he?
He's in it throughout, isn't he?
Yeah, but you mean he doesn't... He's not part of any big reveal or... Because I thought, oh, right, he's going to be something to do with this...
Well, it may.
Conspiracy,
I mean,
or
it
maybe
could
he's not what he
suggest.
seems.
Yeah.
Like, especially when he goes
Maybe that's
off
what-
with Carol and you think, what's going off here? Although, again, some of the acting by Jackie, Linda, is unusual because at least for the first hour, she's always smiling. No matter what, really.
She's happy.
Got a grin on her face.
Yes.
As she walks away.
And then she spends the final third of the film quite hysterical, looking dishevelled. So, yeah, two extremes.
Yes. Bless her. I've seen better acting.
You're going to get this feeling I quite like this film. I quite liked it. I quite liked her acting throughout. I really did. But there you go. Right.
She's with Barney. There's a bit where they're in a forest and have a swim.
Okay,
and all that
yeah. They go skinny dipping. There's a scene where she's been fucking around with him. She gets a little lost in the forest, but then spots a strange figure in the distance again. Bit of tension, I suppose. And then Barney turns up and, yeah, they go off. I mean, it just introduces him and the fact that they've got
the
some
way
kind
you
of
said it is about as much interest as I put into that bit.
There's a romantic link, so it introduces him. And off we go now. And now we meet Dr. Barton, who's now looking after Lance because he had a stroke from putting his foot on Mr. Collins' bonds, as you said.
Bonds. Oh, Buffalo.
Oh, yeah, well, you say it now.
A
bit fucking late now, isn't it?
The Buffalo, can it? I've drawn a drawing.
And you pointing to a drawing.
I'm pointing to a drawing that says Buffalo above, and then I put, how do? How are you doing? Are you well? The good bit, actually, you know, when he puts his foot on it, and then you go, it cuts away, but then you think, this is bit I thought was good as well. You think the dead bloke's rising out of the bath.
But it's him being lifted out
he's being
by
lifted
the staff.
out by the staff.
Yeah.
Which is probably more grim, because they're just getting a big old bloke, dead bloke, that's going to be all squodgy out of a bath.
Squodgy.
But this bath bloke is used quite a lot, as I call him. I don't know what is. Actually, I should have looked.
Mr. Collins.
Oh, sorry,
I've already
Mr.
said Mr. Collins.
Well,
See, this, you're not listening.
Oh, fuck it.
I don't
Buff
do
bloke.
all this research. Can't even say research. Oh, he comes back beautifully later on in a 80s-like pop video at the window.
I mean, he has an odd job, really, because he has to keep his eyes open and look like he's got his mouth open a bit underwater, which I can do, but I don't like it. Don't like it.
Oh, that's an insight into Tony's life.
Well, you know, when you go swimming...
You don't like opening your eyes.
It's you. But, you know, obviously, you don't have to seal your mouth while you're swimming.
Well, what about a human centipede? Now again, seal your mouth.
No, but you keep your mouth shut, don't you? Or blow out.
Yes.
But he's got his sort of mouth semi-open, which obviously you can do, because unless you're an idiot, you know not to breathe in the water. Yes. But it's still uncomfortable. And
we're still on about
do that.
Collins now.
Bath bloke.
Bath bloke, sorry. So we've been introduced to Connie, now we've been introduced to Dr. Barton, who's looking after Lance. Carol and Barney... So then we've got this scene where Linda has this exchange with Barney. Barney wants to go to a party and he's arranged to get a lift with another love rival, Carol. We get introduced to Carol and they go off to a party. Linda decides to stay back because she wants to look after Lance. They're introducing people that are ultimately, spoiler, going to get killed. It is a bit of a weird setup. And Barney's, like I say, yeah.
That whole thing doesn't make any sense. You could say, that there's something, not right, and there maybe Linda was getting annoyed. But what she does is go, no, I'm okay, I'll stay here, and smile all the way through. Doesn't look annoyed about that her bloke's getting in the car.
Maybe that her
and
acting...
She even turns around and sort of is like grinning, and you're going...
Okay, yes. So anyway, we've been introduced to Carol as well. They go off to a party. Linda returns back to the house on her own. In the dark, there's a power cut. There's a cat comes out from nowhere again.
She's searching for a pussy for ages.
Yes, and then we see Mr. Collins' staring face. Kind of a minor jump scare, I suppose, because the cover's obviously the body's still in the house.
But
there's
music before that, and then when it goes blackout, the music stops. Thought quite good. But then she goes for a wander round, and it's total silence. And what could have been a jump scare is sort of thrown away on him just with his
I
face
that's the
going,
bit. I said a bit of a jump scare because it seemed like it could have been a better one than it was. Yeah,
it's not either with music or just cutting better. But then it cuts from that to then an old woman's face who's behind it, which again could have been like another good one.
I know, and
but
it wasn't.
It's kind of not very good.
Yeah,
either.
agreed.
It could have been a weird.
It was a lost opportunity.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. I don't know, having said that, because it was so weird and
I liked it.
Janky.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I really still quite liked it, but yes, it
was a bit. To be honest, it was a bit like an Italian old Black Sabbath. That weird light in the dude.
There is a feel of a kind of Italian giallo kind of feel to this. I think there's bits of wandering around the house where there's overflowing sinks and baths, which kind of recalls back to the dreams and nightmares she's having. Bit of tension there.
I'm going to be pedantic here. So there's an overflowing bath, overflowing sink and that, and she's pushing the taps, and you see it all going all over the floor. And she goes, "Oh no!"
But when she puts the towels down, the floor, the floor is completely dry.
Bone fucking dry.
Yes,
and you go, and then she's scrubbing it, and she can hardly scrub it because it's squeaking.
Yeah, I mean the bath is literally overflowing all on the floor, and then she throws 6 or 7 towels down, and they're all bone dry, and the floor's dry. Yes.
Yeah, obviously done 2 years later.
We're halfway through the film now. One of Linda's dreams, young girl with a red ball. Then we've got the scene where Mr. Collins is knocking at the window.
Bath bloke!
Bath bloke. Water, I don't know really how to explain it. So it's underwater.
That is the best bit out of the entire film.
Oh, I don't think so. Yes, okay, right. You like that bit, that's great.
Because he's like knocking the window underwater, tapping at it. And it's for a tiny second, so it's not like overdone. So I just thought it was really good.
Barney rocks up, pissed up, and they have sex.
Barney Rubble?
Barney Rubble rocks up, and they have pissed up sex, although she's sober, but they have sex. The residents, next day, are having a trip away for some reason. One of them has a koala ventriloquist dummy. Great stuff. Old people are nut jobs. Okay, move on from that. Lance has found Carol's red beret in the fountain, and she takes Lance, puts him to bed, and asks about the death of her aunt Rita. Lance says that she didn't die, so that's cast some doubt over the story that she's always been told, that her auntie Rita died. So there's some kind of suspicion there, and actually then Linda starts to suspect Connie and Dr. Barton are up to no good in the house, so that it starts to build on that kind of suspicion of people. Oh, well, the bit I really liked, actually.
The Carol dead in the car.
Yes, I really love that. So Linda's in the house and she spots Carol's car, which is like a kind of little red MG, I think, convertible. Yeah. And she spots Carol from a distance in the passenger seat. The way it's been set up is really weird. She can't quite see who's driving the car, but she can see the car being driven away.
Yeah, she looks dead.
She looks dead. It's really weird setup. I really liked it. Kind of weirdly shocking, I thought. Pose. It was a bit odd. I think in total, she's in the film probably a minute, maybe, maximum. Linda then is getting more and more suspicious about things. Weird things are happening. She starts to question Dr. Barton and Connie about Auntie Rita's death. Barton has a pen. When you tip it upside down, the lady becomes naked.
You can see
absolutely everything.
TNA.
Oh, yes. To-wit-to-woo. Oh, then we've got the scene where Linda then drives up to the house and the sprinklers are on.
Yeah, which at first you think, what the fuck, is it started raining again? Because it's quite loud on the Nick side got. But then it starts going on there, and then the music kicks in and sort of replicates that kind of noise. And that's when I thought, actually, yeah, the music's not too shit now. Kicks in more like
effectively used.
Yeah, and well, it's more, again, it's nowhere near as good as Deep Red, but it's like way over the top for the scene. It made the scene better, made it more interesting.
Yeah. Okay, up yours. Right. From outside the house, yeah, she spots somebody where... And the whole point of this scene as well, actually, we should state, because I'm going through it scene by scene. From outside the house, she spots somebody wearing her mum's red coat in her room. Okay? And then the suspicion of Connie and Dr. Barton continues to build. There's something evil in this house. All right? That's what the diary said as well. Something's not quite right in this house.
I did something not quite right. In the house.
Yeah, do it.
Buffalo. You want
The diary. Linda wandered into a bathroom. Oh, here we go. This is a dream. This goes back to the dream then. The diary says that Linda, as a child, wandered into the bathroom and found Mr. Holden dead in the bath. So this seems to be like this is when it becomes suspicious, because there's been lots of deaths in the bath. There's been lots of deaths in this house.
And this is where I thought, maybe it's all in her head, or she's doing it because of her previous, trauma.
Linda.
So Buffalo is not the first one. It's actually Buffalo 2. Buffalo 1, the original, the OG.
Holden.
Hold it there. Holden. Hold yourself. Buffalo OG that Linda saw as a kid. I mean, he's not as good as Buffalo 2. The sequel is actually better, like Godfather Part 2.
Yeah, but... Yeah.
Or...
Well, it is, because Lance put his head...
Or Ghoulies 2, you know what I mean? Or Troll 2, you know.
But not Goonies 2.
They were on about it.
Okay, well, we'll do an episode about...
Goonies 2.
Films they were on about. Linda goes in search of medical records. All the people that have died. Their records seem to have been signed off by Barton. So then she starts to suspect that Connie and Barton together are killing every fucker.
And also, she reads that it's RB, Rita Barton. So she thinks...
Yes. So
Rita was the doctor? I didn't really
No.
Go on, you explain that.
No, I can't. Oh. And I've got no desire to.
Okay. I mean, I'm just looking out for Linda.
Yeah, so she panics and she runs into the town. For some reason, when she runs into town, by the time she gets there, she's covered in shit and bruises. I'm not sure exactly what happened to her on the way.
That's a great heavy metal album.
Yeah, covered in shit and bruises. She's hysterical. Barney has to calm a hysterical Linda down. Well, she barges into the fire brigade annual regional local town hall meeting.
To be honest, I had to rewind. I forgot. I thought, why is she running to this village hall and what they're talking about?
Well, Barney had said earlier.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'd not picked up on it, but then I did. I did kind of watch it for a second time. Unusual for me, I know, because I'm lazy. But he did say at the front, loads of great stuff. Loads of great stuff. But at one point he goes, less drinking, more thinking.
I like it.
I agree.
Yes. So Barney has to calm a hysterical Linda down. He returns back to Montclair with her. Barney... So they return back to Montclair and he's about to go into the house to retrieve these medical records. And she says, Barney, what if... And he says, don't worry.
Yeah, this bit.
Don't worry. That's what he says. It's good advice. If we have to, we'll get the whole bloody fire brigade to come down and piss on them.
Again,
they're not on fire. 3, 2, 1. They're not on fire. Like I said, he's a gong. As she waits outside for him, the fountain runs red with Carol's blood. There she lies, throat slit.
Yeah, again, this doesn't make any sense. Again, I thought, it's all in her head. Because... obviously, the fountain doesn't pump water directly from some fucker's neck. I've got to kill you.
I don't think you should worry too much about that. It's just a visual thing.
Well, I wasn't worried. I was just a bit annoyed.
No, it's just a thing.
It was quite good.
Yeah. She runs into the house. All the phones are dead. A door opens, and out of the darkness rolls Barney in Auntie Rita's wheelchair, I suspect. He's been killed. I don't know how. He's got a bit of blood on him. I'm not sure what has happened to him, but he rolls out
awful, really.
of the darkness. I thought it was all right. He rolls out.
Well, no, I meant the effects on him. It just seems like someone's gone, here's a bit of lipstick. I'll just shove it on your face. Is that all right, mate?
I like the fact he's kind of rolling out of there, but yeah.
Oh, no, that bit. No, I like the... Again, I'm thinking of... I did think of Deep Red for that, but like he's rolling towards him, the doll.
Yes. Frantic Linda then ushers Lance out of a window. She hides away in the house in her room, only to find herself locked in with Mrs. Ryan, who is in fact... Rita. It's Rita, her aunt, sporting, as we've already said, a very awful
I mean,
wig.
she's lovely, Rita.
She says, I lived here once 20 years ago. They sent me away. It was your mother. She and Barton sent me away. She was the mad one. So then we learn this backstory, and then in comes Calvin, her son, well, Linda's cousin, with a sledgehammer. Tries to batter her bonce in.
Yeah.
He also, at one point, seems to be trying to kiss her as well.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
Copperfield.
I just said this bit rapey.
Yeah, well...
I did think, I do hope this, because it's a bit shit. Because it went on quite a long time that he's sort of holding her down.
Yeah, it's drawn out quite a lot.
He's trying to snog her neck a lot.
Well, it was weird. She bashes him on the back with a stool, which is...
that looked quite painful, because the stool doesn't break.
Yeah, I know, it's a real stool as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why she was kind of doing it a little more gently.
Yeah, but not gentle enough, because he doesn't like he gets up.
Then she locks herself in the bathroom, and actually that's when she discovers the body of Barton and Connie are dead in a blood-filled bath as well. Bloodbath.
To our previous
no.
podcast. Keep all this shit in.
Yes, it's a blood-soaked scene. They're lying in the blood-filled
It's a bloodbath. To our previous podcast.
So Kelvin, the cousin, is still lying unconscious on the bed. Linda's locked herself in the bathroom. Auntie Rita's peering through the keyhole. Yes,
I've done that. I mean, it's awful.
So she stabs her in the eye with the kind of like sharp end of a comb.
She's got a comb with a big spike on it, like you always do. And then just with her left hand, just really lucky, stabs it right through the keyhole.
Yes, I didn't know whether she might have to look. And she says, I can see you. And I put, no, you fucking can't, because then she stabs her in the eye.
She's gone then. She dies from an eye wound.
Then Linda opens the door and she falls forward. And Linda goes out. Well, we assume that Auntie Rita's dead. That's it. That killed her.
Well, you don't see her again.
No.
But you can't... I don't think you can die from an eye wound.
I think... Yeah, but it's gone right through into her brain. Pierced her brain.
Into the middle of next week or whatever that kid was going to get.
Right, so for me, I'm saying this is the best scene in the film. By far, as Linda slow-mos escapes from the hell house.
Used proper slow-mo as well.
Yes. And it's shot from the front of her, and it's shot from above, down.
The stairs bit,
where she's running along the corridor from above is ace.
That's the best bit, yeah. I did say, if I was doing a trailer for this film, all I would show was that one shot from above. Of her running down the corridor in slow motion, because it must have took fucking ages as well for that one shot. But it's like a bird's eye view and a thin corridor with the odd light. Yeah, it is. Okay. I only liked the bit with Bath Bloke at the window because it's used so quickly. You go, what the fuck? Yeah, and they really do an underwater bit with a bloke at the window. But this is more showy, but it is the best. This added probably about at least 1 or maybe 1.5 onto the score I was going to give it, just for this one bit, because I thought it was that good, that bit.
Yes, very, very good. She jumps in the ute and hightails it out of there and drives back to Harry's diner. We can kind of see it in the distance as she drives back along the same road from the beginning of the film. So she knocks at the diner, and Nico, who's in there, as you've said, for some weird reason he's in there on his own, lets her in. The phones are not working. She grabs a shotgun. Yeah. And they sit and wait for Kelvin.
Yeah, she moves Space War, the massive arcade machine, in front of the door as well. You see, I like those kind of little...
Yes, well, the only problem is that the arcade machine gets shot at the end as well, which is a shame, really. I was very upset. They barricade the door with the arcade machine, and then Linda seems to sit in a daze as they wait for Kelvin to arrive. I did like this.
It's
she
good
sits,
and bad, this bit. I think it's padding.
I don't think you use the scene of her building a sugar cube pyramid. I don't think you use that as padding, because that would be a pain in the arse to fucking do if you use it as padding.
No, what I mean is padding out of the film so it's an hour and a half. I mean, to be honest, that bit was good.
Yeah, I liked it.
What I didn't get is when he's talking to her about, what would you like? Do you want a Twix? Do you want a marathon? And then it pans to a TV.
Well, we get the ballroom dancing.
Yeah, and then we get about a good minute of ballroom dancing viewed secondhand through a CRT.
I don't know whether that's lost on me. Maybe there's some kind of significance to that. because it did seem to focus on it. If it might be just padding, but I didn't know where. Maybe it's lost on me.
Well, no, I think it was. I think the idea was the music was all very orchestrated and it was all in her head. But the ice cubes, the sugar cubes building up. I mean, I was looking as well for images of this, and the album cover is her putting the sugar cubes in
the
a big
final
pyramid.
one.
Yeah.
As she puts the final one and the pyramid topples, Kelvin's van smashes through the front of the diner. Nico grabs the shotgun and tries to shoot him, but he's not very good and he shoots the arcade machine, which is upsetting. And then Linda steps up.
Oh, he shoots the fuel tank though, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, that's to explain why the whole place goes up as well. And then Linda steps up and shoots him. I mean, the bit of his head exploding is very, very quick, but it's good.
I kept going, I rewound that
very
about 8 times and I couldn't catch it.
No.
But I thought it was better. So this bit I thought was good as well. So Nico keeps saying to Linda, Linda, and because obviously Nico's going, I'm a bit shit with this shotgun. And Linda's catatonic still. But and then suddenly goes, fuck this, grabs it, points at his head, and does a bit of a Maniac. Anyone that knows Maniac.
Yeah.
Shoots him while he's in the driving seat. And it, like you say, you see a fraction of his head blowing up.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to the morning, and I thought that was ace.
Yeah.
But then it transitions immediately to a cut of sort of the skyline, doesn't it? And that.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the best cuts as well, because some of them take a fucking long time. Honestly, I think he concentrated a lot on the end, but maybe that was the idea. Maybe it was all a big, long, slow build, and then bang, 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 bang. I'm going to.
As Linda drives Nico away, the diner blows up. Credits roll.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I quite like, because as she's driving away, you only see the flashes, which at first I thought, you cheapskates.
No, well, I've got a fact about that. Apparently, the pyrotechnic exploded the diner too early in the film. It was a pleasant accident that because you see the reflection of the explosion in the road sign as well. And actually, that was unintentional. Originally, it was going to go back and show the full explosion, and it went off too early, and it kind of, which it ended up being a better scene for it.
I know, I thought it was better because of that. It's back to the very
they're driving
first prologue.
away.
No, it's back to the first
prologue.
prologue.
Sorry, of course it is,
So where you see her walk to this truck and there's this voiceover, now you see it in real time, and then they cut it and the prologue just before the explosion where you would see the orange flashback on her face, and then the camera rotates back and you see the fucking whole thing go up, and then the credits roll.
You were talking about the ending. The final third of the film is...
Yeah, it picks up not just... You could say it gets more excited, definitely, but it gets just better. It gets aesthetically.
Well, you see, this is the thing.
As well.
And I think that's why when I watched it again, I did focus on the earlier part of the film, and I did notice other bits where I quite liked some of the kind of camera work and what he'd done. So, yeah, I don't know.
There's a couple of bits earlier, and I will admit, like there's a bit where she's walking towards you, see all the green on the outside of the house and all that. And
there's a shot where it goes down a corridor past Connie and Barton and then turns left and focus on one of the residents and listening to the conversation. It's like, obviously you can't remember it. No, really good bit. There's another quite nice bit where it kind of drops over Linda's head. It's when she walks into a tree branch. That's quite a nice shot as well. That's quite nice.
Yeah, because it follows her around and then comes round to the front.
Yeah, really good.
And then goes round and shows what she's looking at.
I just really liked it. I'm very pleased we kind of picked this, as we do with most of our films, picked it quite randomly. I loved it. I really liked it. I was surprised. And I think for people who like horror films, this is probably quite a well-known film, I think. There's a lot written about it. I mean, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got 100%, which is just crazy.
No, it's not 100%.
Well, but I am really glad we picked it. I see why it's... see, some places I've seen this compared to The Shining. Must be because it's like a big house kind of thing.
And also Quentin Tarantino says it's one of his...
Yeah, well, I have to say, usually when he talks about a film and recommends it, for some reason it puts me fucking off generally. But actually, I do have to agree with him why I like this. Yeah, there's bits of kind of giallo, European, Italian film I got from it. Shining, definitely Argento. It felt a bit off-centre. It felt a bit odd, which I really liked about it. I don't know what it was. I like the cheeky synth. And you've already said some places it was used better than others. That's absolutely fine. Steadicam-tastic, I wrote. Camera work, really good. you're not so sure, but I really liked her in that role. I did. There were points in the film that may have felt like they dragged a bit, but I think that's because it was trying to build tension throughout, and sometimes it hit the mark and sometimes it missed it slightly, and that's probably when the film felt like it dragged a bit. But generally, yeah, I thought it was really good. Overall, really enjoyed it. 8.5, loved it. Thought it was really good. And I'm actually happy because in the last however many episodes, it's been 6s and 7s. I've been at 6s and 7s, and this is one time where I would recommend it to people. And I straight away. And I think the thing is as well, when I watched it this week and I knew I was going to be watching it again, I was actually looking forward to watching it again. And that's a sign of a good film for me. So yeah, loved it. Okay. 8.5. I won't take that back. I even was tempted to give it 9, but I held back.
I knew nothing about this other than video cover, to be honest. I knew absolutely nothing. It's made of good bits, and I think the ending's quite good. And there's really good bits in it. In terms of camera work, and especially, I was going to give it a lot lower actually, which you may have been surprised at if it hadn't been for that very sort of last shot of her running down a corridor in slow-mo. I just thought that was really, really good.
What about Bath Bloke?
Well, it's Bath Bloke, yeah.
That goes without saying.
Yeah. Like I say, I mean, it's like with most of these films, there are good bits and the rest of it. The bit I'm not getting, I don't know, maybe it's when I watched it or wasn't in the mood. It depends, but I didn't get the feeling that I have read about after researching it a bit, that the people going, oh, there's a feeling of dread and unease and all this. No. I did not get that at all. No. That was my problem. I got it.
I get that. Yeah, I'd agree.
It definitely was off kilter certain bits. If it is meant to be a horror film, and I don't really think it is, to be honest with you, I think it's more like a thriller kind of thing, psychological thriller kind of thing. If it's psychological thriller, fair dues. But a horror film, is it scary? Not really.
I mean, this is horror movies with TNA, but maybe it isn't meant to be a horror film. Maybe it's meant to be a thriller.
I don't know. To be honest, I'm looking at it as a horror film. Apart from really good shots and the way I did like bits of it, and the music was good at points. But as a horror film, it didn't do it for me. It didn't scare me. It didn't show me anything that particularly different that I'd seen before.
I think that's valid. I mean, I went purely for how much I enjoyed it, not as how well it worked as a horror film.
No. But I'm doing it. I'm not dropping points because I don't give a shit what genre it is. But I think it's because it's somewhere in between a horror film and a thriller. It's not much of either. For me, when I first watched it and I saw the ending, I jumped to 7, but then I sort of rewatched it and I dropped it down because I went, well, I rewatched bits of it because I really like this bit, so I watched bits of it, but then I watched other bits and went, fucking hell, no. So I've got it 6.5.
Okay.
I mean, comparison to some of the ones I really like, and I do this, I do look through. So Sweet Alice, I only get 5, for instance, and
yeah, that was an injustice.
But Turkish Shoot gets 7.5, so that gets a whole point more. But that film is mental, and I probably enjoyed it. It's a different type of film.
Turkish Shoot, and we're saying that one because it's another exploitation. Yeah. That is a good film for a completely different reason. Completely different. This is a film where, when I watched it, I mean, as soon as Lance plonked his foot on Collins' head, I think instantly I loved the film. The way the camera dropped below, and I don't think anything could sway me. And then the scene of Linda running out of the house confirmed that I really, really liked this film, and I really did. And I understand why, not why it gets 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I understand why when you read, there's a lot of people who do like it because I thought it was really good. Yeah, but some of it works better than others, doesn't it? I'd let my son watch this in his only 4. Oh, even 2.
He's not even been born.
Yes. Well, we've got 6.5 and me 8.5. Amazing. Watch this film as soon as you can. Get a hold of it. That's really good. So that was Next of Kin. Check it out. It's on Prime Video now, and it's a pretty good copy of it, actually. Yeah. So check it out if you can.
Yeah, it is, and it's in the 5.1. I think it's the Blu-ray version of it. I mean, if you're going to watch it in the best.
It does look good. Yeah. The film looks. I
won't get a crappy copy of it.
Yeah, it looks good, and it sounds reasonably good. So yeah, watch it, and that's it from Horror Movies with TNA. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, never stop looking for it.
What, Linda?